Hi, welcome to SBR TV. I'm Peter Loshak. We're going to be previewing the Triple Crown races this year on SBR TV once again, just like we did last year. And we're going to start with the Kentucky Derby. Now, we could get a big name horse handicapper to do these previews. I was getting a ton of pressure from the top to get a big name. But for the Kentucky Derby, we're going to preview it with SBR moderator Reload, who is a horse racing specialist and who did our Triple Crown previews last year and did give great analysis and advice that I personally used to make a bunch of profitable bets on some matchup props all throughout the Triple Crown. So I went to the mat to have Reload on again as the guest expert, at least for the Kentucky Derby. So Reload, thanks for doing this again with us.
Thanks, Peter. It's great to be back.
All right, so let's talk about this year then, because this year is a little bit different, right? Because usually there's a big favorite, but this year there's no clear favorite. It's like a very wide open field. The speed numbers aren't even that good relative to other years, so it's looking like it's probably going to be a relatively slow race with no clear favorite. To add, I also read that there was a 50% chance of scattered thunderstorms in Louisville. So what are we looking for now?
I would say that I'm still not going away too much from the same fundamentals that I use year after year. I do think it is going to be wide open, and I think we're looking at a lot of good closers in this race who are going to charge hard at the end for the win.
I find that when there's one of those big favorites that everyone's jumping on, that the favorite loses and some big long shot wins, but when there's not a clear favorite and there's like 3 or 4 of the top choices, I find that a lot of times those are the times when the favorite wins.
Yeah, exactly, Peter, and I think that's what we've got this year. We've got really 5 or 6 top contenders who did well in the preps and are solid closers and should be able to outlast a lot of the long shots who've just been kind of thrown into the race just because they happen to qualify because of earnings.
All right, so let's take a look at one of those favorites though that is not a closer. That's Uncle Mo. Uncle Mo was the favorite before he failed to win the Wood Memorial. He had a gastrointestinal disorder that was making him sick for that race. But probably the biggest knock against him is that he has a front-running style, and that just might not be suitable for the Derby.
I agree with you, Peter. I would avoid taking Uncle Mo here. In fact, I would go against him in any matchup bets that there are. I do think that the distance is going to be too much. He was unable to handle some of the closers in the Wood Memorial who shot past him in the stretch, and it's not going to get any easier in Kentucky when he's got even better closers.
Now, the post positions haven't been drawn yet. Do you think if Uncle Mo draws like, a 3 or 4 posts, that'll help his chances?
I would say the past has proven the post position hasn't mattered all that much. When you had a horse like, say, Big Brown, who came out of the 20 hole and won the Kentucky Derby, I think anything's possible when you've got world-class jockeys and trainers who can plan out the race based on their post position.
So Uncle Mo is one of the likely favorites that you think is a good bet against. What are the likely favorites that you think might either be a good on or a favorite that you might want to not bet against in a matchup prop?
There's a few that I would avoid going against in matchups. In fact, there are a couple that I like who came out of the Arkansas and Louisiana derbies. One of those is Arch. Really liked how he closed at Hook Lawn. And then Pants on Fire won the Louisiana Derby with a nice closing effort as well. Those are the examples of horses that come out to some of the preps that might not be watched as much as the Wood Memorial or the Santa Anita Derby that you've got to pay attention to.
Do you have anything to say about Comma to the Top? That's a horse that I've noticed a couple of the mathematical modelers seem to be thinking might be a good bet. Comma to the Top. What do you think about that horse?
Well, right now, Peter, Comma to the Top, he's a big long shot according to the Greek, putting up odds of 52-1 today on the board, in the futures board. Certainly, it's a big overlay there at 52-1. I think the big concern, he could be more of a front runner, and we just talked about avoiding that type of style. And another thing is that he could lose Corey Nantani. Corey Nantani's been on board for 6 straight starts out west on him. It's looking like Corey's going to ship to Nehru and ride him instead.
Let's talk about Nehru, because Nehru is a horse that's gotten a lot of attention just in my research. A lot of people have been looking at that horse as a horse that they might want to bet on. What's your take on that, on his current odds, the jockey, and what they maybe should be?
Well, I was saving this for the end, Peter, but Nehru is going to be my pick to win the race.
Okay.
I like the odds he's going off at right now. He's 10-1 at the Greek. Probably going to go off at more like 7 to 1 or 6 to 1. I liked how he closed in both the Louisiana and Arkansas derbies. Didn't win either race, but closed very nicely, and I think it's just a matter of making the right move at Churchill Downs.
We don't know right now exactly which horses Nehru might be matched up against in a matchup prop, but are there any horses that come to mind that you might be eager to jump on if he is matched up against some horses you might think might be overrated?
I'm going to be going against Uncle Mo as well as Dialed In. He's bound to be matched up against both of them in matchups since they're all strong contenders. And I do think Uncle Mo, as we talked about, is likely to fade in the stretch. He's going to get passed by closers like Nero, like Arch, who I'd also like in matchups as well. And then you've got Dialed In, who comes in, most likely will be the morning line favorite, but he's only had 4 starts, and the last 3 were all at Gulfstream. He hasn't really been shipped around much like some of the other contenders, and I don't think he's really ready for the kind of stage you'll find in Kentucky. And probably will just run a good race, but get passed in the stretch as well.